My, oh my, hockey can change like that. The St. Louis Blues put the Jets on their heels. They've made it a series. It's 2-1 Winnipeg, but what an exclamation point for St. Louis taking it home. I said before this series happened, I've said in every series where teams have been up 2-0, when you go on the road, it is now the home team's job to win. You got to take a few at home, and then you got to take one on the road if you're a visiting team. And if you're home team, you just got to take yours at home. Series change when you go home. Why does it change? You get on airplanes. Airplanes are tough on the body. You start thinking about too many things. Maybe you get a bit of swagger. Maybe you stay up a little bit too late that night. Maybe your number one shutdown defenseman, Dylan DeMello, is too hurt to play and it screws up your entire lineup. Maybe the St. Louis Blues just decided to wake up and play hockey. Or maybe it's Maybelline. Now, we can't take anything away from St. Louis in this series. They threw body. They forechecked like their absolute lives depended on it. They shot when it was opportune, and they understood what they were up against. When the Winnipeg Jets had Dylan DeMello out today, you could see how big of a hole that is. When you lose your number one shutdown defenseman who plays in your top pairing, it changes everything. Josh Morrissey can no longer do what Josh Morrissey does because Dylan DeMello gives him the freedom to do it. Dylan DeMello does the unsexy work like staying back. Dylan DeMello does the unsexy work like making sure those pucks get out of the zone.
I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy.
He covers Morrissey when Morrissey rushes and Morrissey wants to be a fourth forward. They play off each other. And when you put Neal Pionk with a guy like Josh Morrissey, it's just going to spell trouble. That isn't the pairing I would have used today. I know Luke Schenn is slow, but I would have moved Luke Schenn up with Josh Morrissey because you need a guy that's just going to stay home. I think St. Louis knew this. St. Louis exploited it. They got both Morrissey and Pionk running around a bunch. Connor Hellebuyck didn't have a great game, but really there wasn't anybody there to help them. And St. Louis did what St. Louis does. Bang body, capitalize. Buchnevich starts his night here with an absolutely beautiful forecheck. I mean, he was all over the Jets. This guy always scares teams when he plays it. It's Neal Pionk going in after the puck. Josh Morrissey can't set a pick here. Not that you're supposed to. Buchnevich starts by laying some really nice bod. And there you go. And that 1-2-2 forecheck causes a turnover that they end up holding at the line. Pionk doesn't get it out, and then he gets caught in a really awkward spot. Pionk tends to do this. He tends to run around. I think Pionk needs Dylan Samberg. Samberg needs Pionk. He ends up running around in a very awkward, weird spot. Josh Morrissey gets to the front of the net. That puck comes down low. Buchnevich does what Buchnevich does. I mean, he's just a power forward. He throws something on net. It doesn't work out. That's fine. It goes through the crease. But then, like the power forward he is, he's going to sneak in here and put in his first one for tonight. He finds the back door. That puck goes on the net. It's an ugly little rebound because Morrissey's clearing the front of the net, takes a funny bounce. Buchnevich puts it in. No chance for Hellebuyck. And it was that combination of big forechecks, 1-2-2 forechecks, great puck bounces, heavy hits. I mean, over 60 hits by St. Louis. That is going to hurt tomorrow for Winnipeg. Goal number 2 comes in on the power play. They work it out to the point. There's nothing wrong with Winnipeg's penalty kill here. This is just great playing by St. Louis. Take a look at this absolutely sick tip off Buchnevich's stick. I mean, he's looking back. This is a set play. High slot tip. It ends up going over to the shooter. Buchnevich is looking for it, waiting. Quick little dump at the net, and all he has to do is a tiny little redirection, and it goes over Bucky's shoulder. Fowler from Thomas and Buchnevich. So really nice play here. Winnipeg's in on the forecheck. They're just going to quickly move it to the wall. Winnipeg's 1-2-2 is unable to be effective at keeping this puck in. The first play sees Iafallo get skated around. Scheifele comes in to help. That puck goes up the wall. And the first thing that we see is Josh Morrissey steps up to play this puck. Normally what happens in these scenarios is Josh Morrissey is free to pinch because Dylan DeMello is back there helping him. Well, that's not the case because Neal Pionk likes to do the same thing. Here's Neal Pionk's player. He's stepping up to play the gap now as well. That's going to get Jomo caught here. Kyle Connor's coming back to play a little bit of defense. But when you have two players that just want to step up and use their skating, and they're both good skating defensemen, take a look. Pionk gets caught. He does a little bit of a pirouette in the middle of the ice. Now Josh Morrissey is stuck in a 2-on-1 as Iafallo is back checking. They end up making that pass through on the 2-on-1. Pionk is already behind the play because he's stepped up. So now that he's stepped up and Morrissey stepped up, same thoughts. They end up slashing him, and they beat Bucky over the shoulder. That was Buchnevich's third point of the period, and that was the second time he caught Pionk and Morrissey out there 5-on-5 together. Pionk was out there for all three. It just wasn't his night. It wasn't his game. I don't think the Jets made great decisions, both personnel-wise and playing-wise. And when you got a guy like Buchnevich who's hot, and like, let's be honest, I'm not talking down Buchnevich. He's an incredibly important player for the Blues. We would love to have him on any team in the NHL. But I mean, that's not really the guy that's going to put up 4-point nights on you. It just happened to be his night. So this is the playoffs. You got to find ways around it. St. Louis does unsung heroes a la Brian Bickle back in the day for the Chicago Blackhawks, which Buchnevich reminds me a lot of him. Then what happens is Cole Perfetti gets on the power play. That's a goal. I'm sorry. I know they went up. The puck was in Binnington's glove. It was behind the line. The glove was behind the line. The league reviewed it. They said it wasn't enough evidence to overturn. Took a billion years, like 4 minutes. I don't know why it took so long to say no goal. If the call on the ice is no goal, why are you taking 4 minutes to reaffirm the no goal? Like, if you don't see the angle, move on. I really thought that was a goal. I thought the glove was in, but it doesn't matter what I think. I'm biased. You can see the hat, as you can tell, but I try to be as unbiased as I can when I do these game analysis. I think it was in the net, whatever. Wouldn't have changed the outcome of the game because they absolutely smoked the Jets tonight. So let's go take a look at more of St. Louis's greatness, and we'll talk as this video goes around of should Jets fans be worried? Should St. Louis be pumped up? And are the Jets going to fall apart now because of this? Gus Bus puts a little bit of life in Winnipeg here. It's a 1-on-2 for them. He ends up beating him as he goes down low. You can see Gustafsson coming in late here. It's just a really nice play by Gustafsson. There's not much to break down here. I mean, he ends up beating him. Gustafsson finds it in the slot. And finally, somebody beats Binnington. All right, here we go. Another quick strike by St. Louis, and no Pionk on this line. That actually hurts Winnipeg quite a lot, and St. Louis did a great job exploiting this. They move it up the wall, and here's Luke Schenn stepping up to make the play. Normally, this is Neal Pionk, who's faster and may have made the play before Schenn did. He didn't. Now Samberg is back, and Connor Hellebuyck goes out to play the puck. Connor Hellebuyck shouldn't go out to play the puck. Stay in your net. No. Go out and play the puck. I know he's not the best at handling the puck, but goalies have to play the puck. All goalies need to play it. They need to play it in the trapezoid. It's a big part of the breakout. Hellebuyck, bad bounce here. The 2-1-2 forecheck of the St. Louis Blues ends up getting a stick in there. Hellebuyck turns over the puck because of that forecheck, and they just walk out, and Buchnevich puts in the hat trick. I mean, really, it's at this moment here. Hellebuck's looking left. He knows he can't backhand it. Samberg has to be yelling at him. I don't know if he was or wasn't. I mean, I'm not down on the ice, but he has to be just yelling at him to freeze it or do something else with it. But he also can't stand just in front of the net. I think he has to go back there and start helping his goalie. He has to identify this is going to be a 2-on-1 against a goaltender. I know you can't hold the guy up, but if you know this is coming, you've got to stick with your man, get behind the net, and back up your goalie. He doesn't do it. I don't know why he goes in the corner. Like, I guess he thinks the pass is going to get through there. I think he's a smarter player than this. This is a big sign. I think the Jets were asleep, but what an absolutely fantastic forecheck by St. Louis. It's what they're known for. Easy goal for Buchnevich. 4th point of the night. Hattie for him. Kyrou puts one in for St. Louis there on a 2-man advantage. I mean, a 5-on-3, there's not much to break down. You should score on those. But the next goal just really summarizes how the Jets decor feels. They're beat up. They were taking a lot of hits. I've been talking about this since the start of the series. 40 and 50 hits. If the Jets don't end this early, these hits are going to add up as you get into deep waters. St. Louis is going to try to take you into deep waters. Luke Schenn's a big boy in his own right, but bang, I mean, the big man just takes a hit. He goes down. You still have a 1-on-3. Kyle Connor's got to get in there and help. He's a little too hesitant, in my opinion, to get in there and help. I mean, that wasn't the best defensive play. They end up moving it over. Now we're in a really ugly situation where they're trying to catch up. There's no way Schen's going to catch up there, just not quick enough, and they put it in over Bucky. And we could keep going for days on these goals back and forth, but the real question now is, how badly does this destroy the Jets' momentum going forward? And only the Winnipeg Jets know that. The St. Louis Blues, they are riding high right now, but I don't think they ever really lost it. When you're an underdog in a series like St. Louis is, and I know people want to remember the 2019 Cup run, but there's only 5 guys on the team from that. This is a much newer, younger team. Guys like Snuggerud on there, guys like Kyrou on there. They have a lot of really young guys out there. I mean, I think they have 3 players under the age of 22 right now playing. So they are the inexperienced ones. They are the ones coming in at the 8th seed. The Jets are an absolute wagon this year. So St. Louis has nothing to lose. They go in front of their home fans. They do exactly what you'd expect them to do. Great job by St. Louis, well coached by Montgomery. Binnington stands on his head. They have all the momentum in the world going into game 4, and Winnipeg is going to be out of sorts. But this is the question, and this is the question that Winnipeg needs to answer. This is what makes champions. Can you put this game out, forget about it, come back in game 4, and find a way to win? Velarde may or may not enter game 4. It's the first sign of trouble to see whether or not he's going to come back. There's no promise, or Neal never says anything, but I don't know. Is this a first sign of trouble? Will he eke back in? He's still in a yellow jersey, so I doubt it. Dylan DeMello absolutely needs to come back, or Scott Arniel needs to find a better combination here. Winnipeg's blue line is very sensitive to changes. If you do not have your number 1 shutdown guy, just go ask the Edmonton Oilers without Elkholm. It becomes a real problem and a real slog to be able to win that. But you cannot go back to the well of a Morrissey-Pionk combo. You have to find someone else to play with Morrissey, even if that means moving a guy like Samberg and playing with 2 guys with the same shot on the same line. You got to think of something else. Pionk, Samberg, just not, apologies, Morrissey, Samberg. They just don't mesh well together. They ain't it. So maybe you take Pionk and Samberg, put them back together, and that becomes your number 1 pairing, and you move Josh Morrissey back with Luke Schenn or somebody else. And you have to limit the ice time of one of your best players. I don't know. You got to figure out something, because you can't put those 2 out together. It just ain't it. It ain't going to work. I hope I'm wrong in the next game, but this is where the Jets are going to decide. Are you a President's Trophy winner? Are you a champion? Can you rebound? Or are you going to fold like a house of cards? If they come back and win game 3, we know what they're made of. If they come back and get smoked like this, frankly, embarrassed like this, out hit like this, I mean, they lost all aspects of the game. Every aspect. There's not a redeemable quality for the Jets, and that is tough to be in that locker room. So I know the fans believe the Jets can do it. Winnipeg is behind them the whole way. Everybody is behind this team the whole way. But that doesn't matter. And I'm not knocking on my fellow Winnipeggers. All that matters is what that locker room thinks, is what the Jets think. And this is going to be the first real test of Captain Adam Lowry and the alternate captains in Scheifele and Morrissey on what they do and how they talk to their team and how this team responds. This is going to be Scott Arniel's first test. How do you respond in a moment like this? When things are going good, it's easy. But when crap like this happens, bouncing back is the hallmark of champions. The question is Winnipeg a championship team, or are they chumps and pretenders, and are they going to fold under the pressure? We'll see in game 4.